up, friends? It's your girl Kim
and your girl CJ.
And you guys, we are so excited because as you can see, we're not alone. We have a very special guest with us. My dear friend and CJ's new friend. She don't know yet, but it's about to be. The Elle Jones is in the building, and you guys, I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a little bit. But before, I just want to share my heart when it comes to Elle. Elle and I met, I want to say probably 2014 or 15, I think. And it was like that instant connection. You know, when you meet people and you're just like, they're supposed to be my friend, but you don't want to be weird. I'm just weird. So I was just like, I think we're supposed to connect. And she was like, I agree. And we just literally hit it off, and we've been able to do so many like amazing things together as far as creatively. Elle is really, I really want to say that Elle is the reason why I have blossomed so much creatively. She saw something in me before I ever even saw it. Before I had wrote and complete a book, before I had ever did something on video, Elle was the one that was like, I think you should write. I think you should be on video. And I was like, girl, bye. I'm good with my little girls program over here, and I'm just gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna let everybody else do what they do. And I just want to personally, like, honestly, thank you, Elle, for seeing something in me before I ever saw it in myself, and not just being like, not just being someone who was in my corner, but being like my mentor, my friend, my confidant when I was going to, is that the word? Y'all know I'll be messing up words. When I needed
and your sister.
Yes, when I needed someone the most, and literally my big sister, and I love you so very much. And I'm so thankful that we get to share this space together. And I feel like a kid in a candy store because I have one of my closest friends, CJ, and then one of my closest friends, Elle. This is just my day, y'all. So I'm super excited. So enough about that. Elle, can you please tell like our audience who you are and what you do? And I know that they're going to fall in love with you just as much as I have.
Thank you. Absolutely, I will. But before I get into that, let's get into the reason why everybody's here. Because at the end of the day, whether it's me or somebody else, people don't really care, right? It's a person. What they really care about is how can they connect to your story? How can they relate to you? And so just taking what you just shared, this is like really the overarching theme of our conversation, and what I'm going to be sharing with you all today is about building relationships and connections. Side note, Kim is being super modest when she talks about how she's like, I think we should be friends, because I was legit stalking her on Instagram, and I was like, I need to know her. And we actually ended up meeting finally in person at an event that we were both invited to speak at. And we've been stuck like glue ever since. And my life has been enhanced and changed and impacted in incredible ways since having Kim in it. And so for as much as she feels she's received from me, I've received an abundance of that love and support and sisterhood and friendship and leadership. You know, I'm a firm believer that you're never too old to learn. There is a big age gap between the two of us. So I don't, you know, I make no qualms about sharing my age. I don't hide. I'm 48. I
still personally don't believe this, guys. I'm still asking for a birth certificate, which she has yet to show me. So that has not been confirmed.
Well, what is true and confirmed is that, you know, I got a seed, that I have several seeds, but one, she's 27. So she's not too far from Kim's age. You know, Kim could be a big sister to her. So, but my point is that you can't ever allow yourself to get so comfortable in your own knowledge and wisdom and experience that you don't allow yourself to be in a position to learn and glean from other people.
Right.
And we connect through stories, and that leads me into who I am. My name is Elle Jones, but I go by Elle. I love Elle. Don't ever call me KL because I won't respond. Joking. So joking. KL is cool too, but those who really know and love me and I love them back, they call me Elle. And I have been doing this storytelling thing for a long time. So I said I'm 48. My first acting gig was a commercial, a pilot for an Oscar Mayer commercial when I was 8 years old. And while I have sisters, we all have the same father. I am my mother's only child. So growing up in the household as an only child for years, I had to get super creative about how to entertain myself, especially with a mom who was working a lot and being a single mom and doing that thing. And then storytelling has actually helped me to navigate through some really tough times in my life, especially when I was 10 and my father was murdered. And it was those, those pivotal moments where I was really able to tap into my love of telling stories to kind of help create this different reality that I could escape from and be a part of and kind of grow into. And so that, really led me into acting and singing. I'm a true creative. I even draw a little something.
Yeah.
But I also have a corporate background in fashion, marketing, advertising, and the health and beauty industries. And so after the last recession in 2007, I left my life in Ohio and moved to Southern California to pursue my acting career full time. And by that time, I was already well into my 30s, had years of experience being in off-Broadway and Broadway musicals, gospels, independent films. I've been a television personality, run the gamut in terms of being in front of and behind the camera. And I found myself finally in a space where I was like, oh, I can really pursue my dreams full time. And then a year into that, I found myself on my deathbed. I'm a 26 plus year lupus survivor. And in 2011, I almost died. I had a really bad lupus flare that triggered a whole bunch of different stuff going on in my body. And yeah, my whole life was turned completely upside down. And that's what a lot of people are experiencing right now. It's you wake up one day and things are normal, right? But then you go and you wake up the next day and your whole normal looks completely different.
Yeah.
And it's like, what in the world is going on? And I can so relate to that. And this was after going through the recession in 2007, where my family and we lost everything. I lost my 6-figure corporate job in the advertising industry. We lost our brand new home. I had my truck repoed. Like, we lost it all. So I fully understand the fear that a lot of people are facing, but it's part of what has made me so passionate about doing the work that I do.
Yeah.
And that's helping women in particular to really uncover and unleash the power in their story, own their voice, get confident as heck on camera, like Cardi B and all them are on all your favorite, reality shows. I want my people to be as confident when they get in front of the lens, because the fact is, you have an important message to share,
right?
And you have people to reach and people to impact. But if you're too busy hiding behind the wall, hiding behind your shame, hiding behind your stories, those people will never get to see and hear you, and more importantly, remember you. It's about creating a legacy through your work. And that's what I do with my agency, which is Elevate Now Creative Media, where we specialize in personal branding, storytelling, messaging, on-camera presence training, and video and film production.
Jesus.
Wow, that is so amazing.
I
did not know all of that.
I'm telling you, just like, what?
I'm telling you.
Commercials, Oscar Mayer. Like,
I'm telling you, I was super intentional about not telling CJ a lot about you, because I wanted all this to be fresh for her, because I know like how her mind works, and I just wanted her to be able to jump in and like really get all of this. So
So
Jesus Christ.
So as you guys can already see, she ain't playing.
Listen.
So
I come to play.
You're already dropping gems. And so we kind of like want to just like press more into that.
Yeah.
So like right now, as you are aware, like we're all being affected by COVID-19. And so for you, like how has that impacted your life? Because in our last episode, me and Kim were sharing how like just we're trying to adjust in this time, adjust within our families, like not being able to go outside, social distancing, and just the impact, you know, that we're really feeling and facing. So what about you? How have you been impacted by this?
Wow. Well, here's the first thing is I always am a glass half full type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I choose to, and it's a decision. We all have opportunities to choose and make decisions every day. I choose to, despite how I have been and am being impacted by what's going on right now, I choose to look at the great that is happening as a result of it. Yes, we're all stuck in the house to find new ways to navigate life and really adjust to a new normal that, quite honestly, none of us really know what that is going to be because things are still unfolding.
Right.
But what it has given me an opportunity to is to be more present and more intentional.
That's good.
And the beauty about this for me is when I went through the last recession and going through all of that stuff, I felt isolated and alone because it felt like and it looked like not very many people in my circle were being impacted in the same way that my family and I were. So there was the shame and fear. There was a sense of being a failure, all of those emotions and things that were tied into that experience.
Right.
Now here I am, and we're going through some things, and my family has been hit heavy recently and impacted by what's going on. But I just choose to look at it from a different perspective and look through a different lens and say, the beauty is that we're all experiencing this together.
I mean, all of us.
Now, some people be like, girl, you crazy. There ain't no beauty in that, but it is.
It is.
Absolutely.
Because it's a unified front. The community and relationships are deepening. People are stepping outside of the box. We're forced to be innovative and more creative than we ever have been before. And so rather than looking at what I've lost, because I have been experiencing loss, I've lost clients. I had to cancel the launch of my signature program, my signature offer, which has a live event component attached to that. That was a big source of my income. Because we're in video production, that requires a lot of face-to-face. All of that has been shut down. I was in production for my first documentary film. All of that has been shut down. I'm in the launching or testing phase for my new skincare line or beauty product. That's been on hold. So there's lots of different things and ways that I've been impacted, but I realize the unique ability and opportunity that I have to leverage stuff that I've been doing for years and to show up. So now I feel like I'm more busy than I was before. I was sharing with you ladies how I have like several interviews. I've been invited to be a guest speaker in front of other people's communities and their private programs. And so I've been keeping myself busy, but it's just been a blessing because those opportunities have come. But don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, they're just coming because everybody is trying to figure out how to create content now. People are reaching out to me because I'm an expert in what I do. I've established myself as an expert. I've established my credibility and authority, and that's by consistently showing up, doing the work, sharing my message, and getting results.
Absolutely.
So when you think about, oh, I want to be featured on this person's podcast, I want to be featured on this person's stage, or I want to be on so-and-so's television show, it's not that easy, sis. You got to do the work. And don't just show up for the sake of showing up on camera. Like, have something to talk about. But that's why it's clear. It's super important to be very clear on what your story is, because your story is the foundation for your messaging. Absolutely. And then when you're very clear on your messaging, then you'll begin to attract the right people to you.
Jesus. And I just want to even piggyback on what you were saying, because Elle, from the moment I met you, even before I actually met you, I knew Elle as the video person. She was the video guru before there was Instagram story, y'all. Elle was literally talking about the importance of sharing your story and your journey. She was on Facebook and Instagram. She was on, before those platforms even existed. She was talking about the importance of sharing your story and sharing your story in a video aspect to make better connections with people. I remember when Instagram story first came out, and Elle legit texted me or video messaged me and was like, have you seen this new feature on Instagram? And I'm like, what? And she's like, let me show you. And she's sending me all this stuff, and I'm like, it's not on my phone yet. I don't think I got the update. And she's just wait until it comes out. But she she was so ahead of the trends. Like she was so ahead of what was getting ready to happen that when it did happen, she had already established her voice and her authority in it. So she was able to leverage it to her best advantage. So like that brings me to my next question, because there's so many different trends happening now with like going live and all these different things, because we're all quarantined and we're all in the same space. But I know for a fact that your brain is already like 5 to 10 years ahead of this thing. You're already thinking about what's getting ready to be next. Can you kind of share the importance of like being ahead of the trend? So like, yeah, it's okay to like follow trends and it's okay to like jump in where you fit in, but like how important is really being able to like vision cast way before something is hot in order for when that thing happened? Because I know people probably thought you were crazy when you first was like video, and everybody's like, there ain't no apps to do, like there's nothing to do that. So like how are we supposed to, because you had like a legit camera where you were like recording your own stuff. Before we were able to just go to our phones and click live. So people probably thought you looked crazy. It reminds me of like the story with like Noah. Like Noah looked crazy until it started raining. So like, but he had a vision. Like he knew what God had told him to do, and he followed the vision of what God told him, and he built before it was popular or before it was going to be needed and necessary. So like tap into the importance of like really understanding the time we're in and being able to build for the future with that.
Absolutely. First of all, you said something very crucial, and it's something that I want, you always do, but it's something that I want people to really, for it to stick. And that is that you have to be willing to look stupid. You have to be willing to be the one that not everyone is going to understand. Not everyone is going to get, like, look silly. Think about Albert Einstein, like all the greats who went on to create amazing, innovative things. They had to be willing to look weird as heck, or as the kids say, weird AF, because people didn't get the vision. But as a visionary, that's something that you have to get used to, is when you are a visionary, when you've been called and purposed to be a visionary, because not everyone is, and you got to be okay with whatever your lot in life is. But for those, everyone has the ability to create something. Absolutely. But there's a difference between being a creator, an innovator, and a visionary. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have all three. But also be surrounded in a community where I have other people that I can pull on, because here's the thing that you need to also understand about being a visionary is that you can't do it on your own. Come on, so don't be stingy. Don't be stingy with your thoughts and your ideas. Get with the right people. Just like you ladies are together. You both came together to create this super dope platform that is really helping people. Now, y'all could have found success individually doing it, I'm sure. I'm confident of that. But look how much more impactful it has been, the journey has been, and the things that have happened for you both as a result of coming together and working together. And so as a visionary is a leader. You've got to be able to recognize the talents and gifts in other people, be honest about what you know and what you don't know. And just because you're a visionary doesn't mean that you need to see the vision out all by yourself, which leads me into the vision casting piece. Okay. So the next thing, you know, like you said, Kim, I've been doing video for a long time before it was even an online thing. Like, so I'm, you know, I feel like I'm the Diddy of, you know.
It's true.
And you'll never really hear me say stuff like that, but you have to be willing to.
I said it, because
But in this moment, in this conversation, I'm feeling it. So I'm feeling myself a little something. No, I'm kidding. But the truth is, I've been talking about video for a long time, and I don't get bothered when I see other people talk about it, because here's the other thing that I understand as a visionary is I'm not called to serve everyone. So you can have people in your sphere of influence who are doing the same thing as you, similar things as you. Even the messaging could be almost similar, right? And parallel. But don't waste your time focusing on what they're doing and saying, because it one takes away from what you have to do. Yes. It dilutes your creativity, and I'm talking from experience. I've done it. I've been the one that look and compare what so and so was doing, and oh my gosh, I had that idea. Why are they thriving? You know, I've done all of that, and it doesn't serve you at all. And you know who else it doesn't serve? The people you've been called to serve and lead. So you have a greater responsibility far beyond yourself. But the thing that I do what we call a competitive intelligence analysis in different areas of my market, just so that I can make sure that I'm staying on top of trends, looking at forecasting on how I need to pivot and shift and when I need to do that. And so one of the things that I've been seeing, more and more people are talking about the power of storytelling and leveraging video. And while all of that is true, I started shifting my messaging from that slightly, still talking about the importance of those things, but I recognize a gap that not very many experts in the industry were talking about, and that was the distribution piece. So it's not just enough anymore, because now everybody and their mama and their Mimi and Big Mama, everybody is creating video. You have you have Big Mama too. You haven't seen the young lady, I think she might be in college or something, and she's doing like TikTok videos. She did a TikTok video with her mom and her grandmother, and it was the Savage Challenge, and Granny laid it out. And then people was like, we need Granny to have her own TikTok and her own Instagram, and they created it.
Has it now. Yep, you're right. You're right.
So Big Mama and them is creating video content too. Okay. But here's what's going, so the market is becoming more saturated. So you're constantly as a creator, you're constantly needing to look at how to set yourself apart. How are you going to stand out in this saturated, noisy marketplace? Because you have the birth of apps like TikTok, everybody's using it. I got it. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways to create video content. And then people are engaging their audience with different challenges and stuff. So it's really cool. But here's the thing to understand: on one front, you don't own those platforms. So at any point, all the content that you've worked so hard to create could be taken away with the quickness, right? And so then it's like, oh, and I have a friend who is also a colleague, and she invested thousands of dollars to work with an incredible video production person out east. I wasn't upset. You like, again, I'm not here for everybody, and it was closer for her to go there than to come here. But she spent all of that money, made that investment, and she ended up with some incredible video assets. But guess what her problem was now? She doesn't know how to use them in the most impactful way. So she didn't get a distribution plan. And so I started seeing that more and more. So again, we shifted our messaging with the agency, and it was like, I'm not just going to teach you how to discover what your brand image is, your story, get clear on your message, or teach you just how to get on camera and be confident and magnetic and produce your video or produce it for you. Now we're going to go into distribution and owning your content. So the next thing for me and my people, and what I'm teaching them how to do, is create their own online TV shows, their own online networks.
Ma'am, you are in you are in the vein. I had to have a pause moment, because you are in the vein, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you're so forward and future-based thinking. Like, I don't even have any words. I knew you were gonna say something great, and you did. I'm really trying to process everything you said, because I don't think that people are thinking about that. So I think that once all this passed, and you said something really key, is like, at any point, all your stuff can be gone. Like, gone. And I think about all these people who are investing so much money in like coaches and to build their audience and their social media. And I actually ran across a page where somebody was like, I have to start all the way over because my Instagram was hacked.
Lost all their followers.
They lost all their followers, all their content, and they have to start from scratch. And you talked about something super important, and that's ownership. Like, owning your own stuff. And that goes so far beyond just like our content, our creative endeavors. Like, owning your own, like we work on scripts, like owning your own scripts, getting things like ownership. So
Ownership. I mean, say what you want about Tyler Perry. He will forever be iconic to me in this from a business standpoint. Is that
absolutely.
He was creating content that was considered the chicken church circuit crowd, right? Like only the mothers of the church who served chicken dinners on Saturday were really buying into, because he was coming from stage to, film and TV. But then he started to expand his brand, and he's taken a lot of flack for, getting rid of all writers and how that's evident in his content. But here's what you can't say is that he don't own his stuff. And he's employing people. He's the first African American, anybody, male or female, to own the lot. Yeah, we're talking about ownership. If you really want to make an impact and leave a legacy, you've got to think ownership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just said exactly what I wanted you to say. Like, beyond all of this, we still have to be thinking about, like, the world is crazy, but when this thing passes over, what do you own? Because we're learning with everything that's happening, we're all losing stuff so fast, and a lot of us are struggling, and will struggle more once this is over, because we don't own anything. We don't own like we don't. And I'm not into, I don't know much about stock, but we don't own stock. We don't own land. We don't own our content. Like, we don't own things.
We own Birkin bags.
Man, you just almost had me manifest
red bottoms. We own all that.
Right. You just made me like, because I'm not into all that stuff, but that's literally what the world has idolized for so long. And now that we're all in this space together, we're all really realizing what the heck is important. And you said it, like, ownership with everything. If you don't get nothing else out of this, like, owning your own stuff is so important, y'all. Like,
absolutely,
we have to start owning our.
You've seen the meme, I'm sure, that's going around, like, it says something to the effect of, like, getting back to normal. And, like, there is no getting back to normal. This is the new normal.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing that you could do during this time is to be idle. It's to panic and be paralyzed by what's going on. So I've very early on adopted this mantra when things started unfolding. It's like, don't panic. Here's my mantra. Don't panic. Instead, learn how to pivot, reinvent, implement, show up, serve, and lead.
Jesus.
Don't panic, reinvent, implement, show up, serve, and lead. If you're panicking, you're making fear-based decisions.
Yes.
So we're all in this space of we don't know what's next. So now you got to reinvent yourself. I've had to do it, and I'm still doing it. How am I reinventing myself? How am I reinventing my message? How am I reinventing how I show up and serve and lead? I'm going through that process. But here's what needs to happen. I still got to show up, serve, and lead.
Exactly. I want to,
because if I don't, somebody else is.
Right, exactly. I want to actually have you touch on two things. I'm kind of going back to ownership. So are there some tips that you give our viewers as well as our listeners, how they could begin to step into owning what they're producing, what they're creating?
Yes.
Absolutely. The first thing is trademark your stuff.
Good.
Like, and even if you can't afford to hire a trademark attorney right now, there are still ways that you can do it on your own. But at the very least, make sure that you have it digitally documented. So when I first started with Elevate Now, I spell it like my name, ELLEVATE now. And lo and behold, years later, I see all this elevate, spelled the same way. And I was like, y'all tried it. But I have my IP protected. I have my name trademarked. Do things. And even if I wasn't able to afford to do it in the beginning, I still had a digital footprint that showed when I first started using the name. I did my research. So always do your research first. Make sure that whatever name, whatever type of content or whatever you're creating, if it's a physical product, make sure that no one else owns it first, because the worst thing you could do is do all the work to create something super dope, and then you can't even use it because the name belongs to someone else. So do as much as you can to protect your IP, which is your intellectual property. That's the first step to ownership.
Yes.
The second step to ownership is really creating your content, like being unapologetic. Don't follow somebody else's formula. It's like being in class and your teacher says, stop looking on the other person's page. Stay on your page, stay in your lane, create your content. Don't worry about what someone else is doing. And then, yes, we do have to leverage these social media platforms. That's how we get eyeballs on our stuff, but always have a place to drive traffic too. So if you're creating TikToks, if you're creating IGTV, Instagram stories, Facebook Live, whatever, wherever you're creating, YouTube, it's fine to leverage those platforms and pick 3. Don't try to be all over the place. If anything, pick 2 to 3 and then learn how to repurpose that content, right?
Good. Yeah.
Repurpose it. But always have a call to action attached to the content that you're creating. And that call to action should lead your viewers or your audience or your community to a place that you own. Your website. Don't get a Wix website.
Right.
Stop it.
Help us. Help us. I mean, sick of it.
Don't do it. And I only approve Squarespace for those who are not tech savvy and can't, don't have the time or the, the resources to invest in regular, so you can kind of do your own thing.
Right.
But stay away from Wix, please, and Weebly. I'm looking at you real strange if you got a Weebly website.
I'm
done.
done.
Brand that stuff. Brand your stuff. Brand yourself. Brand your image. Brand your voice. Brand your content. So even if you're using different platforms to showcase what you've created, it's still branded. So the person who lost all of their followers, did you have an email list?
Right.
Have a place to drive your audience to. Like, how are you connecting and communicating with them outside of your social media platforms? We don't own any of that. It's like renting a house or an apartment. You don't own that stuff. But in your crib where you pay the mortgage, you can do what you want to do.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Those are some very.
And then the next step is taking that distribution even further. So for me, I talked about creating online networks, online TV. So I'm working with a company now, a production company. They're growing, and it's something for your viewers and your audience. If you're interested in learning more, you can most certainly reach out to me. But they are a distribution channel, and I own all my stuff. And I can bring other people on. I could create a whole network like Centric or BET or whatever, and then have different shows on that network. That's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking of owning stuff.
Right.
I'm not going to do all the work to create the content myself. Be mogul minded. How can you shift and become mogul minded?
Wow.
I love that.
So I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know.
Yes, you get in so much. And then I wanted you to also touch on just about reinventing yourself. I feel like, as you mentioned, like, you're not necessarily in like the millennial bracket, but I know a lot of, but for us, like, we're millennials, but we also want to reach, other people as well who are not necessarily in that bracket. But just even for the millennials, like, we sometimes are so focused on looking like the next person and doing what the next man is doing. And so that's why we have all these like same challenges like happening, like nobody knows how to really stand out and reinvent themselves. So can you touch on that a little bit as well?
Absolutely. So my question first would be, do you want to be considered a Smurf, or an Avenger?
Wow.
Smurfs all look alike. They're little and blue. They're cute, but you can't really distinguish. The only one you can distinguish is Smurfette and Grandpa Smurf. Everybody else look the same.
Facts. This is facts.
But the Avengers, on the other hand, nobody looks like Thor. Nobody looks like Iron Man. Nobody looks like Black Widow. Nobody looks like Spider-Man. Everybody has their own thing. And certainly nobody looks like the Hulk. Be the Hulk of the Avengers. Yes. Don't be the Smurf.
Oh, that's so good.
That's so good.
So instead of trying to replicate or, what you see in the marketplace and among your generation, because somebody seems to be popping and they so hot right now, like, when you think about it on the most basic level, it's like, dang, do I really not think that much of myself that I feel like I gotta like be a clone of someone else?
Man,
no matter how old you are or how old you're, how young you are, you have life experiences that are unique to you. Why wouldn't you want to share that with the world? Reinventing yourself is not about going to get, implants or plastic surgery. If that's your thing, do it. I don't judge, because I'll be looking at my stomach like, what we doing? What we doing?
This
tummy tuck might be
myself.
So, tummy tuck might be in the near future. I don't know, but that's not what I'm saying. It's reinvention is not about necessarily physically looking different, but it is showing up different. It's showing up with a different message and making a different type of impact. Yeah. So again, going back to when I was sharing how when I moved back to Southern California from Ohio, I was already in my 30s. I didn't know anybody in Hollywood, but I had the audacity to believe that I was going to come here and make it big in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I work with one of the greatest Hollywood actors of all time, who unfortunately passed away last year. One of my mentors who also unfortunately passed away last year. And these people work with iconic legends that we all know and love in the entertainment industry. And the one thing that both of them said to me was, don't ever dumb down your talent. You have a unique ability. Don't, because I would always lead with, oh, I'm so-and-so, I'm such and such an age. And I'm like, why do you do that? Stop doing that. Even when I would be on set with, different projects, don't do that. Nobody cares how old you are. Number one, you don't look your age, but nobody cares how old you are. Yeah, if you can play the part that you've been cast for, no one cares. Do your part. Do your talent justice. Focus on that. And so reinventing a lot of times is more about the mental stuff. Like, you can't even reinvent until you deal with the mental jump that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
That's where the first phase of reinvention starts. And then it's really about just being confident and bold enough to say, I'm good enough. I'm super dope. That might sound cocky to people, but guess what? If you think about Kobe, think about Michael Jordan, think about Queen Latifah, think about Muhammad Ali. Our good friend Shamika has shared this story numerous times, but she gives the example of Muhammad Ali, and when Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest fighter that ever lived. Well, who told him that? No one. He did.
He told himself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He told himself that was a reinvention. He went from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali.
Yes, he did.
Because he had a shift in how he saw himself and allowed him to reinvent himself. We think about all the celebrities that we know. Jamie Foxx, that's not his real name. Like, you got all these people who are in the industry and they don't go by their birth names. I don't go by my birth name. That's a reinvention in and of itself. Like, reinvention looks different, and there's many different levels and layers to it, and it will look different for each person. But the key thing is to make sure that to thine own self be true. Whatever that is, whatever it looks like, be true to you.
That's so good.
Woo! So many nuggets.
I can literally sit here all day and listen to you. It's ridiculous. But for the sake of time, I want to jump into one last quick question or quick thought. With you said it before, this is not the time to be idle, and we talked about it in episode 1, how we did have that moment of not feeling motivated, not feeling creative, and just really trying to understand what the heck is going on. And once we allowed ourselves to feel that, the weight of like, yes, things are not okay, it's not normal, and it's okay that I feel that way, but now I have to get out of that and still I have to create. It's who I am. So what would you tell like our listeners? How would you explain the best way to stay like motivated in this time, and stay motivated to still create and be creative?
Absolutely. So one of the first things is to detach yourself from what's going on. Like, I'm not saying fully detach from reality, because we still need to be informed so that we can make informed, sound decisions. Remember, we don't want to make fear-based decisions. So monitor the amount of time that you're consuming the news and all the things that are going on, because it can have a detrimental impact on our mental and emotional health, which ultimately affects our physical health. As a woman who, I think I shared already, I'm a 26 plus year lupus survivor. So I'm in that category of being, at a greater risk for contracting the virus. So very early on, I had to shut it down. And I'm an extrovert, so it's super hard to not be able to go outside of my home and be with my people in the way that I'm normally used to. I come from a very large family. This time of year, we always have a really big Easter dinner. We're all feeling the pains and impact of that, as are a lot of families across the country. And so rather than, again, putting all of my focus and attention on those things, I've had to disconnect when I need to. So for me, a lot of that has looked like in the last couple weeks, coming up in my safe haven. This is my spot. Y'all can't come in. Leave me alone. When I'm in here and the door's closed, don't bother me. Let me do what I do. And a lot of times, if you had a camera behind the scenes to watch me, you'll see me working. But you know what else I'm doing? I'm plugged into D-Nice. And I'm listening to his music. Why? Because I love music. I love storytelling. Stories are told through music as well as a lot of other mediums. But for me, my father was a musician. I grew up in the beauty and music industry. So it's second nature to me, right? It's healing to me. And it truly has sparked a deeper level of creativity, connection, and peace in my journey. So it's allowed me to focus more on creating as opposed to being worried about what's going to happen after, what is life going to look like after all of this is over. And you do yourself a great disservice if all you're doing right now is being in, panic mode and being paralyzed by what's going on, and you're not looking at what you're going to do when you come out of this. What position do you want to be in? And actually doing the work now to put you in that position. Because let me tell you, I was paralyzed back in 2007, paralyzed by fear, paralyzed by shame and doubt and betrayal. People that I thought were my ride or dies and I expected to be there for me, they weren't. My husband was living in his car. Me and my then 2-year-old son, who's now 13, we were sleeping on the couch in my girlfriend's loft. And my two oldest children, they were with their dad and stepmom. My whole family was separated from each other at a time when we really needed to be around each other, but also have the support of our community. And we didn't have that. And so it had such a negative impact on all of us. And I refuse for us to have to go through that this go round. Right. So I've had to shift how I see challenges throughout the years. And I've lived through quite a few. And what I know is this, having gone through a near-death experience and being on the other side of that, the good news I want to share with you guys is you will survive. You have a purpose. There's something so great in you that maybe you can't see for yourself. And that's why community is so important. It's important to be connected to and around other people, even if it's just virtually right now, because that's what we're all doing. But it's super important to have that tribe and community of people, or even if it's just one person who sees something in you that you don't see in yourself, or it's hard for you to really see the full picture of it, because what they can help to do is, one, love on you, because we all need love, but also help to pull and extract some of those things out of you and hold up a mirror to you so you can see a different reflection of yourself. And then that will inspire you to get to work and dig deeper and do something different. Yes, it's scary. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. It's scary. The unknown is absolutely scary. But here's the great thing about doing something that's unknown to man is you get to write the rules.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
so good.
You get to write the rules.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to shift. Don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I need support. I need a community. I have connected with so many people, so many women in particular in the last 2 weeks that I've never even talked to. And amazing opportunities have happened as a result of that. But also, when you're asking someone to invest their time and energy into you, make sure that you're willing to show up. Don't let their work be in vain.
Yes.
Right. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it. So I could go on and on, but that's the message that I want to leave you all. Oh, and be clear on your message. Like
be clear on your message.
Clear on your message.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not clear, you ain't leading nobody, because they not gonna understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
My God. Elle, I knew this was gonna be great. But as always, you blow my mind with more greatness. I just want to say thank you so much for like joining us and just being so willing to just like share your voice and your story with our listeners. Like, you are just an amazing person, and I'm so excited to see like what God is doing and what he's gonna do. Again, like, you have spoke so much life into me, and even when you first met CJ for the first time, you spoke life into both of us. And we just really want to say like thank you so much for like being here. We love you so much. And like, do you got anything to say? Like, my God, I just feel
I'm trying not to cry over here, daggone it. You know, I did that quick 5-minute face. I'm like,
okay, backstory, y'all. So we asked Elle to be on Too Dope to Be Broke. And typically, like you guys know, it's just a podcast, so it's just audio. But we're trying something new with this mini series, and we're inviting our guests to come, you know, visually with us so we can upload it on YouTube where you're watching. And CJ told me, like, make sure to tell the guests to be camera ready. And I was like, yeah, like, I got you. And me, I should know better. Like, this is my job. Like, I do this for a living, making sure that people are camera ready. And your girl completely forgot to tell our guests that they needed to come camera ready. And if it wasn't for Elle literally texting me 5 minutes before our meeting, she was like, this is just audio, right? And I was like, and I was like, CJ, I messed up. I didn't tell her that it was video. What we gonna do? And Elle was just like, don't trip. I got you. It's gonna be good. And so I don't believe that 5-minute beat. My God, it looked amazing. When I got to CJ, I was like, let me at least put an eyebrow or something on. But, I mean, if that's your 5-minute beat, I want to see what a real beat look like, because this was 5 minutes and mine don't look nothing like yours. So amen. But
she was like, this was 5 minutes, and
I'm just saying. I'm just being.
I'm extra. You know, I'm extra. So I just, you know, when you know you're gonna be on camera, like, I have dark circles under my eyes. I didn't want to get on. I'm all about authenticity for real, y'all. So you'll see me on camera sometimes with nothing on, not even my eyebrows filled in. But I legit was like, I'm coming before a new audience. I don't want to scare folks, because the reality is impressions matter. That's another thing. When you're creating content, don't be so stuck on accept me as I am. If you don't, okay. Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. We talk about that all the time.
But I'm truly grateful for you both. I'm very, very proud of you. But more importantly, I'm super blessed and honored that you all invited me to be a part of your world in this way. And I just want to say thank you. It was a blast. Always. We always have a good time. Lots of laughs behind the scenes and on camera. But I really hope that people, not just with this episode, but all of your guests, like, they really take something and apply what they're hearing and what they're learning. Because if you do, and you stay committed and connected to, you know, you'll come out of this just fine. It might look different than what you imagined before, but you'll come out of this perfectly fine.
Oh, good.
Yes, we completely agree. I feel like if you guys didn't take notes, please start this over.
Absolutely.
Watch it from the beginning with your notepad, because Miss Elle just dropped major nuggets. And so again, we really appreciate you. How can the people get in contact with you? We need your information.
Yes, first and foremost, at my spot at www.elevatenow.com, and that is elevate with 2 L's. And then if you're a social media head like me, you can always find me on Instagram. That's my jam. I'm on all social media platforms, but you really find me hanging out, kicking it on Instagram, and that's at Elevate Now Community Media.
Awesome. So you guys will we'll make sure to put all that. Elle, we love you so much.
I love you
so good. You guys, don't forget to follow us on social media at Too Dope to Be Broke. You can also go to our home at www.toodopetobebroke.net. And then you can follow me on Instagram at kim.s.scott. I almost forgot what my Instagram name was for a moment.
It's a little shaky.
Just a little shaky. It's cool though. It's all.
And I had to look at you. I was like, oh.
CJ's been talking about the whole interview. All good. Y'all know them dots be getting me.
Right.
I need whoever Kim S. Scott is to give me my name so I can take these dots
Listen,
out.
I need Elle Jones, who don't ever post nothing, to really release it. I'm ready to report you because you don't need to post on your page.
I'm like,
release
it. Be petty, I'll report that spam and see what happens. But
no, for real, I did think about that. I was like, you ain't posting nothing.
Right.
You're not doing nothing. Like, let me see if I can report this.
I'm just
saying.
A
couple of years, and you just go ahead.
I'm just saying. And then CJ, tell them where they can follow you.
Y'all can find me at She Is C Johnson, SHEISCJOHNSON.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, we love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's so many nuggets in here. Go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
But until next time, we love you and stay dope.
Bye.